undertaking of all the compliances in time and in most appropriate manner. Now, before we discuss about the GST audit, like sir has discussed about the budget 2021. We have seen the last month has been the budget month and people have been busy with the compliances and all. We have invited the special industrial panelist to hear from them directly that what is it that they perceive about this budget. Do they think that the expectations which were raised by the taxpayers through various representations and various forums where they've reached out to the FMs and asked for various exemptions or maybe whatever changes in the law, whether these expectations have been met, they have not been met? Is there something which is missing? Is it some changes which were expected to come and have not come? So I'll come to Mr. Amitabh Mohanty. Sir, what is your first reaction to this budget?
First of all, my compliments to Mr. Nanda for setting the pace right and bringing everything into perspective. My take would come later, but because Geetika, it's very hard to react to something which has never arrived yet. So not one notification has come as yet. It's been now 1 month already, and all the provisions which were listed from 99 clause to 114. There's so much into it that being in industry or in profession, it doesn't matter. That feeling of uncertainty is not good. We have seen enough when we were dealing with section 50 subsection 1 proviso. They've made an attempt to rectify the law again, but presently even that has not been notified. So the situation remains open. Technically it remains open. So certainty is something which we in the industry or maybe in the profession also, everyone wants certainty. And the kind of accountability now the government is expecting of us, whether we are into industry or we are practicing as CAs, the accountability part is rising. So what we learned in audit that we were supposed to be watchdogs, but everything is now pushing us to be rather bloodhounds for any client, because the sections are so worded that they are unforgiving. They don't forgive. So even the section 135 that states mens rea, section 137 says officer in default. Those were already there. Now section 83 again, there you have rather augmented the scope. So this is not understandable. You don't punish a lawyer for misrepresenting a client. How can you punish a CA? How can you punish a cost accountant for that matter? Everything he does, it's as per the books and the information given to him. So I think the approach has already gone overboard. And every year I am seeing a little add up to this accountability factor. I don't know what's the perspective like. And again, the cost of compliance is on the rise. Be it invoice, be it TDS or TCS in income tax. Now the QR codes on the B2C invoices, B2B was already there. Now e-way bill. Now are they building some redundancies into the system so that they are able to, maybe the department wants to catch hold of a misdeed through multiple channels? So why so much compliance is being hurled upon industry? So this is something which is yet to be understood by me. And again, matching of ITC, this has been a long, very, very contentious issues which we faced while learning how to match and how to satisfy the departmental notices. But it's not easy. We were expecting some simplification on this, but I don't know, something might have No, we also understand the government is stressed out. Too much money has gone into the relief packages. The fiscal deficit is also 9.7% already. So the only reflects that everything is fine. So this is rather misplaced. And kind of notices, the kind of frivolous notices which we get. Uh, one may say that at times yeah, even the serious notices would be overlooked because of all this nonsensical things which are which are happening. So all in all, what I feel that and why should I worry right now? Because the bus has not arrived yet. So and it's going to be another few months, or maybe now, proviso to section 50 subsection 1 took almost 2 years to come into being, and it's technically not into existing still. So why should I worry? Lot many things can happen till the notification comes, and maybe the specter which we are fearing may not show up. So that's my reaction on it, Geetika. Thank you.
Absolutely, sir. Very aptly put across that while we are all discussing about the various changes which are being introduced by the budget, many, in fact, most of them have not even been, because of presidential assent is yet to be received. So it's all on the way. We don't have the clear visibility how many sections will get notified, will not get notified. So very correctly put across that it's too early to take any call or take any business decisions based on these tentative changes which are coming. And
so
like
Geetika, I would add a little thing.
Yeah.
For us, in GST field, the budget never arrived actually. So
It's always the budget year.
yes,
Down
it
the year
never
it is.
arrived. Yes, and I don't know what will be in the closed bag when it opens up. Maybe it's a
Right.
Pandora box, or maybe a little box of virtues. You never know. So let's
Absolutely.
wait and watch, and let's not be overreactive on these things. We have seen enough already.
Yes, absolutely. We have seen GST over 3 years. The journey has been a topsy-turvy ride for all of the taxpayers.
Yes,
Every
yes.
now and then we have so many changes, amendments which are coming. And so you're very aptly put across that GST by its conception was supposed to be a law which should be easing the compliances. But over a period of time, we are seeing that the compliances are just increasing and increasing. So the government, instead of moving forward, it's moving backward. So if I put across an example, the law which was introduced, it was introduced first from the last reporting, which is your return reporting. Then going backward, they are going to the e-invoicing and all.
Yeah.
As a proper mechanism, it should have started from the e-invoicing itself, and then slowly and steadily things would have automatically come into place. So maybe that's where the taxpayers are really facing a challenges, and every now and then there is a new change which is coming. People are just grappling and settling down with the existing compliances, and then again there's a new compliance which comes into play, and then entire focus shifts. So that's very true, but I think if we look at from a different perspective, ultimately the government wants to ease it down. Maybe the approach has not been so structured, wherein they could have started from step 1. It's like reverse step 3, step 2, step 1, they are going, and maybe then the remaining steps will fall in place, and slowly things will fall back in the line, and the compliances will reduce. But considering the kind of economy and the number of taxpayers we have, this will certainly take some time to settle down.
Geetika, the only thing which me and my boys, they dread is simplification of law. Every attempt they have made to simplify the law has gone the other way.
Absolutely, sir.
You've seen the events when the Section 115 BAC in income tax was introduced, where there was an option given to the taxpayers, individual taxpayers, to opt for a flat rate or a simplified rate, or maybe a lesser rate of return taxes, devoid of all the deductions. But they would they would need a CA to assess those two options. I think in this 35.5 also, as Mr. Nanda was putting very rightly, in 35.5, maybe the section will go eventually. But is it easy to make that a reconciliation statement for maybe a small or a mediocre level business all by themselves. No, it's not going to happen like this.
Sir, I'll take a pause over here.
Yeah.
We'll come back to this question
Yes,
after we hear
yes.
from other panelists as well about their budget reactions. Dinesh sir, I'll come to you and I would want to hear from you, like what Mr. Mohanty has already mentioned, that it is all, still on the way in transit. So whether you also agree and your perception is also the same, that why to worry for something which has not even come yet? Or as an industry, you need to be prepared for the next financial year because all these changes will become effective from 2021 April. So, sir, what is your view on this?
Yeah, Geetika, so thanks. First of all, thanks for inviting me. And I'll start answering. First, to say that whatever I will say, it is my personal view and nothing to do with my organization, right? So I just want to call out that
disclaimer.
And you must be seeing me, sitting on the Goa beach and attending this webinar. So nice. Budget is like the same for me. This was my expectation from the budget, right? But unfortunately, it is only the picture, and nothing is good there in the budget, right? And also, like you are saying, or Mr. Mohanty just said, what has not come, why should be worried about that? My worry is slightly different. So this is good that it has not come, but sooner or later it will come. That is my worry, right? And the second point is this, the whole GST, how we started. And I've been, chasing this GST since 2009 when we received the first draft, and then, gradually moved to 2017, and finally we had the D-Day. But you see, the intent was never like this. The GST is going to be implemented in this way. And this reminds me of, the Chanakya saying, right? Once Chanakya said that, government should collect taxes like a honeybee, which collect the right amount of honey from flowers so that both can survive. But I'm not finding that in GST implementation. And also, my industry friend would agree. For any big project, we always have plan A. And we always have plan B also, right? If plan A doesn't work, then we will move to plan B. But unfortunately, to my understanding, the government is having plan A, B, and C. But if the plan A fails, they will not remove plan A. They will impose plan B also on top of that, and they will impose plan C also. So it reminds me of, the e-way bill implementation. The government had implemented this e-way bill as an anti-evasion measure. Government could not get the expected result. Then they moved to e-invoice. Right now they are saying on top of e-invoice, you have to have a QR code. Now on B2C QR code, they are saying you need to have a UPI attached to it. Government, to my understanding, is not able to appreciate the different business model, right? Only in terms of, the tax collection, government is much ahead of industry. Now industry is much behind as far as technology is concerned from GST collection perspective. But government is not getting themselves educated enough for the change in business model. How can they expect that a retail industry who is having a POS machine is actually finalizing the invoice before receiving the money? You are saying you need to provide a QR code to make the payment, right? And without that QR code, your invoice is not valid. I agree. But for my retail customer, when I am issuing the invoice is completed. The SAP and the all, ERP solutions are designed in such a way, especially for retail B2C customer. Once you receive the money, only after that the invoice gets finalized. Now you are asking that if you receive advance money, you need to print that, okay, you received the cash money. So sometime, what I am thinking, the government is going to destroy the entire house just to catch a rat. There are so many of tax evaders, I fully agree. Administration's responsibility is to catch hold of them, but it doesn't mean that honest taxpayers are also getting penalized for that. For that matter, if you look at, section 129, 130, wherein they are saying in terms of, the vehicle, the penalty they have increased to 200%. There could be a small clerical error, but there is no differentiation for the honest taxpayer. This is unfair, right? And the large volume companies. In my previous organization with Walmart, we were issuing almost 20,000 sale invoices per day. How can you expect that? Even in your weight and measure, it is said that 1% plus minus is allowed. You are not even allowing 0.01%. Right? So to my understanding, I'm not saying they should not catch hold of the tax evaders. But yes, at the same time, they should concentrate on the ease of doing business as well. And also, I've been observing this in last 2-3 years. In budget speech, you will not find such provisions like 83(1). Right? They will simply say, simple GST is there, this and that. No hue and cry is there, nothing in media. And when you receive the notification, then you have sleepless nights.
Absolutely.
So, I think government need to look at that and how these numbers are getting up for ease of doing business index for India. I don't know who is actually analyzing those numbers and how we are getting a good rating. So this would be my reaction as a chartered accountant, as a lawyer, as a tax person, right? But from industry perspective, yes, we should actually think of easing out the compliances.
Correct.
Yeah, thanks.
So all in all, what we are seeing is that government is somewhere down the line. They are trying and hit the trial method. Trying one option, not working, trying another option, not working. Let's try this also, that also.
Even I'm fine if you're trying some other, but at least remove the first one.
Absolutely. So they are just adding on to the burden of the compliances without realizing that if the first one has not worked, so better remove it and start up with the new one. Why to add on the additional compliance? Like you mentioned about the B2C invoices, the details that they're asking in the dynamic QR code, except for the UPI ID, most of the details are already there in the invoices. If a registered person
and also, Gitika, just to add here, I had a discussion with senior authorities in GST.
Yes.
They said there is a provision in income tax wherein they are asking you to provide the option to make payment different modes, right? The different tender type, you need to provide the UPI option, debit, credit, blah, blah, blah. But the big difference is the GST authorities are thinking how we can make it more cumbersome for the industry. In income tax, I am fine because they are saying you need to give the option. They are not asking me to put the QR code on the face of invoice.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, so say for example, I am having n number of customers. If I am giving option by displaying my QR code on the till itself, on the cash counter. So my customer has a choice whether he want to make payment in cash or through UPI or through debit credit card, that's fine.
Correct.
But why you are putting the onus to print the QR code on the invoice? Why you are making it more cumbersome?
Absolutely. In fact, I would say that if it is only an information seeking activity, you can always have these information at a back end. So the storekeeper, he can always, note down what are the transaction IDs of the payment. So today we go to some grocery stores, if you make the payment through Paytm, etc., they just note a transaction ID so that they can give as an information to their back end that, this amount was not collected in cash and this is how you will match the ledgers. So you are absolutely correct in saying that these information, my payment collection, etc., how is this relevant to the government is something which we all are not able to understand. Your ultimate objective of the government should be that the requirement of the tax invoice is being complied or not, taxes are being paid on time or not. And more specifically in B2C clients, transactions, you don't even have a risk of claiming of any wrong credits. Correct. So having such compliances, what is the objective? Maybe it's, digital India, etc., which the government wants to, achieve that objective. But I think like in income tax, you have mentioned, it should first come as an option and then it should be slowly made mandatory.
Correct.
Making everything mandatory from the day one becomes a very cumbersome a burden for the taxpayers and the industry. And it is not just these one or two things that we have to comply with. There are n number of other compliances which the industry has to do. And every month starts from a compliances and ends with the compliance. There is no breathing space in between. So I think this is something which in person as a professional, even I feel that this requirement is something which could have been kept as an optional from the beginning. And slowly when the industry starts settling down with the changes, then it could have come as a mandatory requirement. Thank you, sir, for your views. I'll come to my friend Shrey. Shrey, what is it that you want to add on to this? We have heard people are very disappointed with the budget and the changes that are being brought in day and day out. How do you feel it is affecting your industry?
First of all, thank you for inviting me and good afternoon, everyone. So, I would like to take a cue from what my previous two panelists spoke. And, I'll simply say that I think apparently government is sending the evaluators of ease of doing business to Goa at the time when they're evaluating. So that's the reason you have such high ratings in ease of doing business. But yeah, I sort of agree with sir that when he says that, in the budget speech, usually, the finance minister always says there's no new tax that has been invoked. But if you, from an income tax standpoint, if you look at it, they're planning to tax the provident fund, additional provident fund that a salaried employee, it's like jisko jitna nichod sakte hain usko aur last moment tak kar de. But overall, if you ask me, I think for me the budget is a mixed bag. I would say I think the government to some extent has tried to focus on the domestic industry, wherein they've sort of increased customs duties on certain products to promote the Make in India. At the same time, I think they have sort of, in GST, they have planned to bring about changes which were, either were part of circulars or, even the last GST meeting which happened, for example, the interest on your net cash liability from July retrospectively. So I think there were certain good provisions or proposals that were being introduced. But definitely, I think there were certain negative ones as well, which sir also covered on the penalty part. I think they need to bring out some rules or something, wherein some clerical errors, some typo errors, something needs to be, they have to give leeway for. You cannot have one straight rule for everyone. That whether you miss this or that, you are straight away penalized for 200%. That is simply not acceptable to the industry. On top of that, I think the compliance, my God, as a company, I'm telling you, I think and all the panelists would agree, the amount of time the tax team has to invest in compliance is simply mind-boggling, because you as a chartered accountant or any professional, you pursue a certain amount of qualification or degree to sort of add value. But when you are involved so much in compliance, it sometimes becomes a brain dead activity, in my view. So I think they need to really reduce the compliance. And lastly, I would, in the ease of sort of time and everything, in the interest of time, I would like to say that, the government really needs to sort of create a balance between the compliance that they propose to, sort of catch the tax evaders, and also think about the honest taxpayers, because your intention may be right, but sometimes you may end up harming more than, sort of achieving anything. So they really need to work on those things. And I think overall, as I mentioned, budget for me is a mixed bag.
Very specific point, Shrey, which you have pointed out, which, this budget has brought in, is that the focus was Atmanirbhar Bharat. They wanted the domestic industries to grow. A lot of customs duty changes have been made so that people tend to move to the domestic manufacturers rather than getting into the import part of it. Overall, if I see what all the panelists are, they have pointed out, is the major pain points are the stringent provisions on the penal provisions that have been imposed. The expectation from the government is that there has to be some balance or some checklist between the honest taxpayers and the dishonest taxpayers. The government should not look towards every taxpayers with the dishonesty that everyone is doing with the transaction with an intention to evade the taxes. As regards the e-way bill, there is one circular which is already there in this, GST regime, which has listed out certain, scenarios where they say that certain transactions or certain errors will be treated as clerical errors, and for which the penal provision should not be there. There are certain rulings also with there. But yes, I agree with you, Shrey, that these circulars should be updated time and again, because every time there would be some new circumstances which would come up, and unnecessary harassment to a taxpayer by just having a provision in law, which we all know that the tax officer will read only in literal sense and will not apply their minds to understand the basic nature of the transaction. So